Welcome to a nourishing midweek lunch hour conversation with Spokane's newsmakers, thought leaders, and popular entertainers. Spokane Talks Live is brought to you by our friends at Homes for You and Breakthrough Incorporated. Welcome to Spokane Talks Live.
Hi everyone, I am your host, Colin Pittman. Welcome to Spokane Talks Live. If you've been outside in downtown Spokane, you can smell the smoke. You might be even able to see it in the distance. The upriver beacon fire continues to burn, and our fire crews continue to work on putting out that fire. So of course we're thinking about them. We are inside though, so we get to kind of get away from the smoke for a while and have some really great conversations today. So first I'm joined by Carrie Snow. Carrie, you're the executive director at We Believe We Vote. And for those that don't know, what is We Believe We Vote?
We are a nonpartisan ministry operating to get people helped getting elected when they follow biblical values and God's laws.
Okay. And so what are some different things that your organization does to do that?
We start with research. So we look at voting records and candidate websites, and we do research on topics that our constituency is interested in knowing about. And when we don't have enough information about a candidate, we then conduct a survey in person, online, or on the phone.
Very cool. And so as we're approaching this election season, it's kind of a hot topic, especially in this area right now. What are some things that voters in particular should be looking for?
Well, everyone's going to have a different thing they're looking for.
Right.
But what our constituents ask for is where people are at on biblical values and constitutional values. Things like abortion and gender fluidity and religious conscience, border walls, and how we treat immigrant children.
Okay.
So we look at top political issues, and we see where Scripture or the Constitution has an answer to that issue.
That specific issue. And, you know, obviously candidates, especially in today's world, are pretty one side of the fence or the other. So is it hard to identify, you know, what certain candidates' values are when it comes to that regard, or is it pretty clear that they're either on one side or the other?
Well, I think when you're saying one side or the other, you're referring to, you know, conservative or liberal,
right.
Which we are not. Mm-hmm. We are biblical, mm-hmm. And constitutional. Really, the Constitution, because that's what the Bible says,
right, to
follow. Where God's law, where man's law is not in contradiction to God's law, we are to follow man's law, and U.S. Constitution is that.
And so how does We Believe We Vote encourage voters at all? You know, encouraging that voter turnout.
That's
maybe
probably half the job.
Half the job.
So yeah, we really try and, you know, we not only have a voter recommendation guide, but right on our website, We Believe We Vote, you can register to vote. Every vote matters. It's, you know, people think too many think it doesn't, but right. Every person has a part in the body. Mm-hmm. All the parts of the body need to get out and vote. Mm-hmm. You can make a difference. Mm-hmm. People can make a difference.
And you know, it's so funny that people often say, well, my one vote isn't going to change anything. Well, if so many people say that, mm-hmm. then collectively those right. votes could have made right. really a huge change right. if they would have all gone out and actually voted. So mm-hmm. it's really one of our core responsibilities is to go out and vote.
And it's a core right. It's a core right given to
sure.
us as citizens and from God. And we have the ability to have an influence on how this government runs, and government influences children as to what's right and wrong, and we have the ability to influence government.
Correct. And it's so important, not only because it's our right and responsibility, but I think it's vital that we acknowledge that so many other countries around the world don't even get this choice.
Right, it's a privilege.
They're not able to vote. So.
It's a privilege just to be born in this nation. I think that so many of us overlook, but I get up almost every day and thank the Lord that I'm born in the United States. It's a true blessing to be born in the United States, and I think we forget that. We need to keep it what it was, which is a nation under God. And when we do that, I believe that we'll continue to be blessed. But it is a fight, and so stand behind the word, and that's what we do.
And so I know you mentioned before we started the program that this isn't your full-time job. So what else do you do in your off time when you're not the executive director? We Believe We Vote. What else do you do?
I have a family with 3 children and 1 on the way in January. So that's a pretty busy job.
Congratulations.
And a wonderful wife. And I own Snow's Auto up on Division. And I also have started a coffee roasting company called Pure Coffees. So in your stores,
Very cool.
soon, hopefully.
In store soon. I'm a big coffee drinker, and I didn't even get some before the show. So that's exciting. Definitely, though, I can't reiterate enough how important it is to go out and vote. And
Christians, get out to vote. Please look at our guide. We're nonpartisan. We literally look at issues of today. We see where the Bible answers that issue. And you can see our questionnaire. You can see our position statements. We're totally transparent with how we come up with our recommendations. You can register to vote, like I said, right on the website, and your vote does matter.
And that's We Believe We Vote.
WeBelieveWeVote.com.
Great. Kerry, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Very informative. And when we come back on Spokane Talks Live, have you ever tried to figure out how your business, or even you as an individual, can grow your social media pages? We have an expert here to find out after the break.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
To help you be safe, Washington state law requires you to call 811 2 full business days before you plan, for example, to dig, drill, plow, pull from, or pound anything into the ground. Be prepared to provide the operator with the correct address, cross street, and a description of your work. You must mark the dig area with white paint. The operator will inform you of the utilities notified of your impending excavation. Wait for all their marks. Be safe and dig with care.
The economy is getting stronger. Banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
All right, I am back on Spokane Talks Live with Rachel Sandahl, and she's a social media strategist.
Yes.
Definitely, there probably wasn't a social media strategist 30 years ago.
Or 10.
Or 10.
Probably.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I read that a lot of these social media sites, well, I think this was just yesterday, really have evolved in the last 10 years, which is incredible to me to think that I've essentially only grown up in a world with social media.
I know.
And a computer. What would I do without the iPhone? I don't know.
Exactly.
So if I'm a business, how can I grow my social media pages? Because I think as individuals even, but especially as businesses, we'll do a push to get followers and get likes for our businesses on our social media pages. And then once we kind of reach, what we think we could, and we've reached out to all the people we know, we kind of just stop. But what are some tips that we can use to keep growing our social media pages?
So I think the first thing is it has to be a mindset shift. Because this isn't like the traditional marketing where you put up a billboard and that's it.
Right.
What you're doing is you're building a community and you're building a relationship with your customers. And that is a long-term goal. That is a long-term game, and that just takes time.
Right.
So I think if you can kind of shift your mindset to like, we are building relationships, and that takes time, and that takes consistency. If you can kind of shift that, then you're going to, first of all, get better results, which will help you stay motivated, but also just, give you the right mindset to keep going.
And is there ever a point where you're posting maybe too much? So much is too much.
Yes.
Some businesses I see, they're posting, 20 posts a day for advertisement.
And then they won't post for like 3 weeks or
right?
something. Yeah.
But at some points it gets excessive, and then I'll notice that people will almost unlike the page because they're thinking, I don't need all of that and all those notifications in my social media feed. It would drive me crazy. So how do you balance that between trying to grow but not posting too much?
So Facebook this year actually just changed their algorithm, and what's happening is the news feed is full. So what we need to do is create higher quality content. So focus in on the content you're putting out instead of just posting 20 times a day or 20 times a week even. So if you put the focus on, I'm only going to put out what's quality, and I'm going to scale back to 3 to 5 times a week on Facebook.
A few less rants, maybe.
Yeah, like really strategic content.
Right.
That's what's the goal, and that's what Facebook wants from you. They do not want you just littering the news feed with crap.
I ate bananas for breakfast.
It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
So
what do you mean by it's full? Because I've never heard of that, and I can't. That seems like such a foreign idea to me, that the internet can be full.
Well, it's just like you only have one news feed,
right?
And you're sharing it with your friends, your family, the news outlets that you follow, and businesses. And businesses take the bottom rung for that. So
really,
what you need to do is figure out how you can engage people and keep them coming back, or else your content's going to get buried. So I think that's what they're trying to get you to do. So they're like businesses, please use Facebook, but make sure you're using it strategically and engaging your audience.
So if you're just starting out with your business, trying to, gather some social media sites, what are some tips that you might have for someone who's just starting out?
So I would say, first of all, you need to get a strategy in place. So what are you trying to do? Are you trying to raise awareness? Are you trying to get leads? Are you trying to, grow credibility for your business if you're new? Like, what are you trying to do? So if you have your goal, and then you can kind of fill in under that, which platform are you going to use? Are you going to use Pinterest? Are you going to use Instagram? Are you going to use
all of the above?
Or Twitter or whatever, I mean, that's the thing. There's so many, and I think business owners look at it and they're like, how am I supposed to stay up on all of this?
Right.
And my answer is you don't have to. Choose the ones that work for you and are targeted towards the audience you're trying to reach, and then go from there.
And what do you think this future of social media looks like? Because I know we often hear that, Facebook is dying, and MySpace was dying, and that people aren't using this site and that site and this app and this app. Do you think there will always be social media, or just in a different form?
I think Facebook may die. I think we're a ways from that, by the way. But Facebook may die, Instagram may die, but the idea of social media will never die, in my opinion. It's too good of a thing for everyone involved for that to happen. So.
And it's become such a big part of our daily lives.
Exactly, and that's why
I don't know a single one of my peers who does not check their social media pages at least 7 times a day.
Exactly. And that's across all ages, and people are shocked to hear that, but one of the highest growing audiences on Facebook in particular is 65 plus. So
65 plus?
yes.
Wow.
So your grandmother is going to be on Facebook if she's not already.
I'm going to have to tell her that.
Yeah.
Actually, no one tell her
No.
that.
Exactly. It's bad news, actually.
Okay. And the other thing we see too often on social media right now is the ads.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really specific. And I almost feel like they are targeting what they know I want to see.
They
are they really?
They for sure are.
But how?
Yeah.
How does all that work? Because even, my job here at Spokane Talks, the Spokane Talks videos will come to the top of my feed.
Yeah. So here's how it works. If you like Spokane Talks, the Facebook page, you're basically opting in to get that content. But here's what you might not know. Another business or somebody can target people who like Spokane Talks. Does that make sense? So you can, whatever you're interacting with online is an avenue for retargeting for you for ads. And I'm sure we've all been on Nordstrom.com and or Amazon or whatever, and you look at a product and then 5 seconds later it's in your newsfeed on Facebook.
Right.
And yes, it's a little bit creepy, but as a business owner, it shows you the capabilities and power of these platforms.
Which I guess to some extent is handy because and businesses know that you're interested in this content and that's what you want to see. But you're right, at the same time, it almost does seem creepy.
It is. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing with, Facebook kind of going before the government, trying to figure out what this looks like in a way that's, okay with everyone.
Right. And so you are actually a social media strategist at In-House, and you founded this company.
Yep.
And so what are some things that you guys focus on?
So we help small to medium businesses with their social media.
Okay.
What we do all digital marketing. So we do web design, SEO, all of that. But my focus as a strategist is on social media. So that's kind of where our focus is I think a lot of business owners are overwhelmed with what this looks like. So sometimes you need, and the thing is like, okay, you're doing great on social media and then they change the algorithm and you're like, oh shoot, everything that was working 5 months ago is no longer working.
I don't know how to use this now.
Yeah, I mean, that is a real thing. And I think having a professional help you is kind of a good way to avoid that.
For sure. So if small, mid-sized businesses want to contact you and, grow their social media pages, where can they go? Do you have a website?
We do. It's actually under construction because we're rebranding, but it's inhouse.com, INHOUSS.com, or you can just reach out to me, Rachel Sandel, Rachel@inhouse.com.
Very cool. Rachel, thank you.
Thank you.
I learned a couple of things. Now I've got to go to my social media pages and change a couple of things, but thank you.
Thank you.
And when we come back on Spokane Talks Live, we're going to be with a lady from the Washington Policy Center at the Chair of Education. We'll find some really interesting things, especially applicable to Spokane, when we come back.
The economy is getting stronger. Banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Is your child having trouble coping with a personal disability, but don't know where to go? Consider our friends at Breakthrough Incorporated. Breakthrough takes great pride in mentoring their DDA clients who have intellectual disabilities and their BRS clients who have challenging behaviors toward the creation of safe, appropriate, ethically sound life goals. They integrate programs at school and home to enrich their lives. They work hard to make a positive difference in you and your family's lives. Breakthrough provides a highly structured, fully staffed residential setting in local neighborhoods, 6 in Spokane and 2 in the Tri-Cities. Diagnoses affect people differently, so their service to each resident is unique, giving them the opportunity to grow and evolve. For more information on Breakthrough, visit their website at breakthroughincorporated.org.
You're really doing it. You're ready to buy a house. You know what you can afford, you've got a pre-approval letter, and you and your partner haven't killed each other yet. Now's the fun part. First, think about your main requirements.
Location,
house type,
square footage,
number of beds and baths,
garage,
property age.
Then think about specific features.
waterfront,
Pool,
local schools,
neighborhood safety,
walking distance to parks.
proximity to a decent Turkish bathhouse.
HO.
From there, input all your search criteria. Min and max prices, number of beds and baths, single fam, multifam, condo, co-op, villa, townhouse, farm, whatever. You can even draw your own custom search around the neighborhood you want. The open house is the most fun you can have in real estate. It's like having carte blanche to walk into a total stranger's house and snoop around while they're not there. Here are a few pointers. First, feel free to step in without knocking or ringing the bell. Unless you see a note saying otherwise, in which case, yes, knock and/or ring. It's generally considered good open house etiquette to wait until a group of buyers leaves a room or area before entering.
What we were talking about. Let's check it out. I know, so.
Listen to what other buyers are saying. They may know something about the property or neighborhood that you don't.
I bet they don't even know they have
this. Oh, no. Ask questions about the house, how long it's been on the market, the school district, the property taxes, but keep it cool. Don't give yourself away by sounding too excited.
And the schools in this area are incredible. Woo! They're actually building a brand new one 3 blocks away. What? And it should be open in the middle of next year.
Yeah! Please do not steal. Finally, if there are snacks or refreshments, do not take them. It'll skew your perspective. Unless they're mini quiches. Those little are tasty as hell.
Lee Finna from the Washington Policy Center. She is the director for the Center of Education, joins us now from Seattle, Washington. Lee, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me on, Colin.
Thanks for joining us. So I want to dive right in here and talk about a recent change to the teachers union. And what is that?
Well, the U.S. Supreme Court just 2 weeks ago held that teachers can no longer be forced to pay dues to a union whose political views they do not agree with. These are called agency fees, and for years teachers were forced to pay those fees. And now the Supreme Court has held that it violates their First Amendment rights of freedom of expression and of association. So you can no longer be forced to pay dues to a union you do not support. And that is a dramatic new freedom for all public sector employees, including teachers. And it may have a positive ripple effect on the schools in the end, because the teachers unions have had a real grip on what is allowed and what isn't allowed in the public education system in Washington State.
For sure. And so what is... Okay, I want to backtrack a little bit, because the dues that were taken directly out of the teachers' paychecks, was that only for unionized schools, or was that for everyone?
Well, all the public schools are unionized. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes. So yes, this is a very big deal, because now every employee of the public schools can decide for themselves whether to allow the district to deduct dues from their paychecks. And we're hearing that many people are deciding that they'd rather hold on to their money and use it for their own purposes than to support a union that they do not support.
So is that bad news for the union then?
Well, it's actually could be. It depends on how they look at it, but they could look at it as an opportunity to revitalize what they're selling individual union members, instead of having a guaranteed income stream, they're going to have to persuade people to join the union, and that's always a better for everyone involved.
Mm-hmm. And you and I have talked a lot about charter schools, especially in Washington State. There's a couple in Spokane. In fact, one of the charter schools you mentioned in Spokane has 1,000 kids on the wait list just to get into the school, and that's more kids that even attend that school. So what are the benefits of a charter school?
Well, it's so interesting that what you just had on your program, you had a woman, an expert on social media, and then you had an ad about buying a house, and you saw you didn't remember those people jumped for joy when they found out that their house was going to be located in a district with good schools. And so this is a sort of a fundamental unfairness we have in the system, that people that can buy a nice house can afford to send their kids to a good school, and people that can't afford a nice house in a good school district can't get a good education for their children. So that's just one element of this sea change that is happening with charter schools. In Spokane, you have 2 charter schools because your school superintendent allowed them. And now, like you said, there's over 900 people that are trying to get into those 2 charter schools in Spokane, Spokane International and Pride Prep. And it's very exciting. It shows you what people will do when they are given a choice. And it's not only exciting for the students and the families to get an opportunity to attend and go to a better school, but it's exciting for the teachers and the school leaders themselves, because charter schools are sort of the reverse of the standardized uniform model that we've become accustomed to over the last 150 years, where we bring our children that are like round pegs and we try to force them into a square hole, and many children do not fit very well in that under those circumstances. And so teachers are frustrated by this, and they are often told when they try to change the curriculum or the way they assess students that the answer is always no to innovators in the public school system. No, we can't do that for this reason. No, we can't do that for that reason. It's heavily regulated, heavily bureaucratized. It's a monopoly system. Now, charter schools are the innovation to get away from that, to allow the teachers the freedom to do what they need to do for the kids. Charter schools can control their own budgets. They hire their own principals. They can remove a bad principal, and that principal can decide who teaches in those schools. And so that freedom that charter schools are allowed is what is unleashing the potential of the educators as well as the children. And of course, the children are the most important. And when you talk about social media, you spoke to that lovely lady about social media only being around for 10 years, and it's changing all the time. And has a business helping small other businesses stay current with their social media needs, and that is a reflection of the creativity of the individual in our society. It's so powerful, and so that's why charter schools are so exciting, because here in Spokane you have an opportunity to enroll your kids in a charter school, and I'm told that the what's going on at those schools is that they're offering a very different program. That the parents are saying this is very hands-on learning. There's project-based learning. There's not this focus on paperwork so much that many kids get frustrated by, and so that opens up and energizes and reinvigorates and re-encourages children that have gotten discouraged by a standardized model in their traditional public schools. So I think charter schools are very exciting. They're still under threat by the union in this state. As you know, there's a lawsuit second lawsuit that the union has filed against charter schools, and it's up before the state Supreme Court, and they're trying to close every charter school to every child.
And why is that? What is their reasoning?
Well, because they fear change. They have a very good setup right now, and the state teachers union makes $37 million in annual dues taken from teachers' paychecks. $37 million a year.
At the state level?
At the state level, and then their local unions also get money, and so this is and they like a system, or so far they have been fighting to protect a system that forces the deduction of dues from teachers' paychecks, which is what you started with. And so they, at a charter school, teachers do not have to join a union if they don't want to, and they don't have to pay union dues. And that is another freedom charter school teachers have, which the union resents. So freedom, so far, the teachers union has been kind of against teacher freedom, and they're going to have to now adapt and change, or find themselves losing their dues.
And you mentioned that so many of the public school system is so heavily regulated, and I've actually taken some courses in my middle school and high school career where I felt like the teacher was only teaching me things for the test that we were taking at the end of the year. And that was always frustrating to me because I knew there was so much more than the 40 questions that were going to be on the state test in May. So do charter schools take the state exams that you would take in a typical public school setting?
Yes, they have to. They are still regulated by the state, and they're still required to administer these tests to students. However, they have a lot more freedom over choosing the curriculum that they use to teach, to prepare kids for these tests. And from what I understand from the charter school students themselves, there isn't this unrelenting focus on passing the test, getting a high at a charter school. I've heard young students in the middle school here close to Seattle say, my mother enrolled me in this charter school because she was so tired of the traditional schools, drumming the drumbeat about performing well on the test. And really good teachers understand that it is the depth of the best way to study something is to go deeply into it and to look at a subject from many points of view, and not to submit it to sort of a superficial check the box sort of approach. The test taking has forced teachers to comply with. And this is another restraint on teachers and when I was in high school, Colin, we didn't have these annual tests. And now this requirement to test kids in every grade, in third grade through eighth grade, and then once again in high school, that came down from the Bush administration in 2001. We've only had it for less than 20 years. Oh, wow. And it has many teachers. Yes, so this was the solution that the people in Washington D.C. felt was going to improve the schools, and it hasn't. Mm-hmm. And you could argue that it's actually reduced the quality and reduced the rigor of education because of this unrelenting focus on the tests.
Have test scores gone up, let's say, over the last 10, 15 years? Have we seen an increase?
There have been, on the whole, no. They have been on the whole flat. There have been some subpopulations, like fourth grade, low-income minority students have done a little better in reading. But when you look at the 12th grade scores for reading and math across the nation, they have remained stubbornly flat.
Right.
And so you can't point to that sort of central planning device as the solution for improving the schools. You really do have to look at the system and what is the challenge. I mean, what is the challenge of educating a student? It's a humane challenge. The connection between the adult and the child is very special and particular. And to give the teachers the freedom to create a curriculum that's super exciting, like the Spokane International School is deciding to use an IB curriculum. That's a very high quality school, and kids have got to be excited to meet the challenges of that. And but not every kid is into that, right? Other kids like different things, and so slowly we're recognizing that sort of reality of educating children requires diversity of opportunity, and some children will do great with a hands-on program. Other kids are great in academic studies, and other kids are interested in X, Y, or Z. And giving the parents the power to choose those programs is a very exciting notion, because it will influence the centralized bureaucrat, the system to improve, because they'll see, families voting with their dollars and with their feet and choosing charter schools. And they'll say, well, what is it so great about charter schools? And maybe we should adopt some more of their practice here back in the home district. And that's a healthy thing all around.
And of course, no student can be taught the same, as you mentioned, because no student is the same. And I think even in my experience on taking standardized tests, I was a very high achieving student and a hard worker, and I kept straight A's in my courses, but I wasn't a great test taker when it came to the standardized tests at the end of the year, because I got testing anxiety so badly. And I know it's like that for actually a lot of high achieving students, and even students who aren't necessarily on the high achieving spectrum in education. So do you feel that this whole idea of standardized testing, 40 questions fit all, is necessarily the best way of approaching what our students are learning?
You ask such excellent questions, Colin. The smartest people in the nation, these think tanks that I follow, are saying that the system of accountability based on test scores for public education has failed. Just given the fact that for the last 20 years, student test scores have not really changed dramatically for the better. I mean, we were promised that it would improve the schools, and it didn't. So now what is being said is that a better system of accountability is giving parents more power. Think about that. Right. If you allow the parents to direct where the money goes, then you have a very powerful form of accountability that can't be gamed. You know, we have evidence of test scores being gamed, high school graduation rates being made to look better than they actually are, and that's what happens with a monopoly system that gets imposed on an accountability, measure from the outside. But if you have a system that is sort of grassroots, that's based on the ground up by making parents satisfied with what they're getting from the schools, then you change excuse me, my phone is ringing. Excuse me. Anyway,
so it's okay.
Anyway, I wish I could look right at you, Colin. I have to look kind of, my camera is cattywampus from looking at you, so I'm sort of looking at you from the side of my face.
No worries.
It's a great question. What is a better form of accountability than test scores? And very smart people in the country are saying it is school choice. Give parents the power to decide where to send their kids. And if you start to think about that, then you're talking about changing the entire structure to be responsive to the needs and demands of children in their wide variety that they present themselves in public schools.
And is it hard to get rid of maybe a bad teacher in a typical public school setting because of tenure or because of regulation? Is that any different in a charter school compared to the typical public school classroom?
Dramatically different. A charter school that is not satisfied with the teacher's performance can remove that teacher from the classroom almost immediately. A traditional public school, just cannot. And it will take a school administrator many years, and it's been estimated about the cost of removing a teacher from the classroom at $250,000 or more, because wow. This is something that is a legacy of the union control of the schools, and it does not serve the classrooms and the students well.
And why is it so expensive?
Because there are laws that have been passed by elected representatives, elected with the help of the union. The laws have created a morass of hoops that have to be jumped through in order to remove a teacher from the classroom. Principals have to evaluate the teacher every month and write reports twice a month, and then give the teacher many appeals to improve. And then the teachers give, by law, the teachers given appeals to other administrators, and then to courts of law and that kind of thing. It's no one in the normal world has got these kinds of protections.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
It's amazing to me. I didn't know a lot of that it would take so long, because in many other industries in the world, if you weren't doing your job or you weren't meeting the requirements of your job, you would be like, oh, right then and there.
And it does the person no favors. The teacher that is underperforming and that is not is being kept in the school teaching classes of kids year after year. It's degrading. It's terrible for the kids, and it shouldn't be allowed, of course. But think about the teacher who knows he's a bad teacher, and he's allowed to draw a salary year after year. He knows he's not doing a good job by the kids, and he gets his whole self dignity and feeling of self-worth is harmed by that. So we really do not do people any favors to keep them in jobs that they are not performing. And so I'm hoping that one of these days we will end this unfair policy of teacher tenure. It is not right for our society, and this doesn't happen in other countries. Other countries make sure that they don't have their children taught by underperforming teachers. So this is something we need to do, and it's an uphill battle, of course, like everything else. But the more people understand that this is happening, the better chances there are that we can change it.
Right. And of course, it'll be really interesting to see what happens with charter schools because they are gaining so much popularity. So, Lee, thank you so much for joining us today. I know you're in Seattle and have a lot of other things going on in the Washington Policy Center, but we really appreciate you being here today.
Well, it was such a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you very much, Colin.
Thank you. Bye, Lee. All right, and that is all for Spokane Talks Live today. We'll see you next Tuesday, but have a good weekend. It's supposed to be pretty hot.
Spokane Talks Live is produced in Spokane, Washington by Spokane Talks Online, LLC, which is solely responsible for its content. To recommend a guest or topic, or to see this program again, please visit our website, SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Spokane Talks Live is brought to you by our friends at Homes for You and Breakthrough Incorporated. Join us next Wednesday, noon, for another nourishing conversation on Spokane Talks Live.